Jesse did.
Yeah.
And for some reason, listening to it, which was a really good episode, by the way.
Thanks.
I really enjoyed it. It had me thinking of like all these other things, so I just wrote them down and this
Okay.
is what
So, staying up at night, what are our thoughts keeping us up?
Yeah, because like you were saying how you used to be like an insomniac and
Yeah.
you would think about like the devil
Yeah.
and all this crazy shit.
As if like 12-year-old child, 11-year-old child.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think you've told me that, but I forgot.
Yeah. Just being like born into religion and like, you know, the scary parts of religion. I think that was just something like you just pick up on. You feel so much shame for, you know, everything you're being taught. It's teaching you to like feel ashamed of like who you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were stealing what, gum or something?
Yeah, I was like stealing shit and like obviously that's still not good even with or without religion, but like it's not that bad. And I was just a kid.
We all do it.
Yeah. I stole a lamp yesterday.
A lamp?
It's one of like my proudest like things that I've stolen.
How did you steal a lamp? Where were you?
I was at Target. It's like, you know what? I don't want to pay for this because I've given a lot of money to Target, and what have they ever done for me?
They've done nothing good for anyone except take our money for things you don't need.
Yeah. So, anyway, back to the thoughts that are keeping us up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking when I was hearing you say that was like when I was a kid, I used to be afraid that I was gonna get like possessed
by the devil.
Yeah, by like anything because I think I'd seen The Exorcist or something or heard about it and that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, because it was a little girl in the movie that got possessed.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And I would, but like that's so scary because it's just like I was a little girl, like you know. So I'm like, that could happen to me.
Yeah,
and I remember
it could happen to anyone.
It could happen to anyone.
It's based on a true story, isn't it? Or like true events.
Supposedly, but I mean, I'm sure it's happened.
Yeah.
But I just remember asking like my grandma and stuff, like, "Oh, am I gonna get possessed?" And she's like, "No, you're crazy. Like, what are you talking about?
Why would you get possessed?"
Yeah, but I was like terrified of that.
And you were born into like religion, Christianity.
Yeah. Going to church since I was little, but it wasn't. I feel like Christianity isn't as extreme as being Catholic because we don't have to like say these prayers over and over to like repent from our sins.
Yeah.
It's like
I actually think Catholicism is a little more chill than Christianity because like we can commit all these sins and we just feel like we're fine because we just you know go to the priest and like
that's kind of dangerous.
Well, that's why like Catholics are a lot more chill, like you know, versus like you know, Christians who are a little more extreme. Yeah. So I'm just saying like I'm not Catholic anymore and I don't care, but Catholics are probably more chill than Christians. I don't know. I think that's so true.
I think Christians are more chill.
I think Christians are more hypocritical.
Why do you say that?
Because it's like I've met too many Christians where they're just very like, oh, I have to be a good person and this and that. Mm-hmm. But they're actually more judgmental than like Catholic people. A lot of Catholic people I know are just like Mexican or like Latino people.
So they naturally judge. Natural judgers.
I don't know like how that goes. I just feel like Catholics are just more like I think there's just a lot more loosely based Catholic believers than there are like Christian believers. You know, the people that believe in Christianity are like really extreme like Christians. Yeah, and then like Catholics, there's a lot of them who are very like loose Catholics that are like, I'm Catholic, but they don't go to church. They don't even practice anything. They're just like,
they're just born that way.
They're just like, I'm Catholic and I pray.
They're basically not religious.
Yeah, but they just say they are because that's what they were born into. So
I don't know. It's kind of a dumb topic because it's literally just two different religions and you can't categorize them because everyone's different. Everyone has their own things going on. Yeah,
there's a lot of Christians that
but
annoy me though.
Huh?
Huh?
Come again?
There's a lot of Christians that,
Piss you off.
yeah, they do piss me off.
There's only one girl at my old job. I'm always like talking shit about people at work, at my old jobs. But like, she was a hardcore Christian, and everyone hated her, dude, because she had such strong opinions about everything.
Yeah.
Like, she was like a Republican, and she was like against abortion.
Was she one of those people that always had to have like her opinion expressed? Like, did she always need to tell?
No, she didn't always tell people, but when the topic would come up, she wasn't afraid to be like, "Oh, well, I think this, and that," and like express it. So everyone didn't like her, but I thought she was cool because she was funny to me.
Oh, okay.
Like, she was just like, she didn't care what people thought about her, and she also was genuinely funny.
Yeah.
So if you're like a funny person, I kind of like don't care about what you believe in.
No, and I think that like that stands true to just like a lot of people, because like that's the same for me. Like, if you don't care, I don't care like about what you believe in if you don't care about what I believe in. As long as you're not like pressing all of your beliefs and like your judgments on me, then I can be cool with you.
That's true.
'Cause like, I don't know. It's kind of weird if you only want to be around people that think exactly the same things as you. Yeah. You know, it's a little, I feel like that's also a little bit of like narcissism. Oh. You know, it's like the same with like woke people only want to be around woke people. And I get it. Like, yes, you should have like your morals and things like that and things that you believe in. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't like get along with other people like in society just because like they have different beliefs than you. I feel like it's kind of weird. Yeah. Like,
it's kind of like contradicting in a way, because you're like, I guess quotations woke, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Like, you can't associate yourself with these certain people that don't know the same things as you.
Yeah.
But like, that's just closed-minded, because
and that's what contradicts itself, because it's like, yeah, they're closed-minded, but you're woke.
Yeah, like, yeah, that's a weird one, dude. Because if you're woke, then why are you saying you're gonna not associate with certain people?
I mean, I don't know what's a good example to say right now, just because like I haven't really like thought this out right now, but I've thought it before. But like an example would be, I don't even know. You have any examples?
Not really. Not at the top of my head. Sure, there's plenty of people that we know, or the people listening now, that are like that.
That are like woke or not woke? What is woke?
I don't know what woke means. Is it like political? Is it like
a
way of your? It's mostly political.
Yeah, I would say it's mostly political. Okay. Not that like, feminism should be a political thing, because I don't think it should. But yeah. And like, immigration is a political thing.
For sure.
Just like racism, that's like a political. Yeah. Or well, like not realizing that there's institutionalized racism like throughout society.
Not being aware of that is definitely not woke.
Yeah, it's just like, the fact that we like, not too long ago had our first like black president, and like the fact that we still don't have a woman president. I feel like those are like things that a lot of people don't want to accept, that are like wrong, that we're so delayed. Yeah. So it makes it political, because people are like, no, it's just because they're not the right candidates for the job or something, some bullshit like that.
I would say if you're woke, that just means that you're getting closer to being less ignorant.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people who are like, oh yeah, we're never gonna have a woman president, I'm fine with that, like, you're just being ignorant.
Yeah, but like, can't you also like argue that in a sense where it's like, if you're kind of too woke, can't you actually like backpedal, or you should be backpedaling a little, because you're kind of overly too woke, that makes you ignorant.
This makes me think of something, because you told me there's a new Sex and the City show.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
No.
Now you watched it, that's why you were telling me. But
I just like heard things about it, but I hadn't watched it.
I watched the first couple episodes.
Oh, good.
It's actually good for you.
How was it?
It's actually good.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I had like no expectations, but it's good. It's funny. Samantha's not in it. But
yeah, I knew that.
But exactly what you're saying, being too woke. It's like what's her name? The redhead.
Miranda.
Miranda. She in this show is like too woke because she's going back to law school.
Yeah.
And she's like all against like white privilege and stuff like that. And like her teacher, her professor is a black woman, and she just like keeps saying like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm so honored to be in your class. You know, you're such a distinguished black female in the community." And the teacher's like, "Okay, like relax. Like
I'm just a person.
yeah,
Yeah.
like you don't need to say all that." And like every time Miranda runs into her teacher, she always has to bring up something about race. Like this guy, the security guard, was asking the teacher, "Oh, can I see your ID?" She's like, "Yeah, let me look for it." And Miranda's like, "Why are you asking for her ID? Like, you should just let her in. She's the professor here. I can vouch for her." And the teacher's like, "No, it's fine. Like, this is normal."
Yeah.
So Miranda's basically making things that should be normalized. Like, she's just like overdoing it.
Yeah.
To prove that she's not racist.
Yeah, and because there's like, you know, a lot of white guilt that like comes from that, and so they feel like they have to I don't want to say overperform, but like maybe it is performative
in a way,
right? Like I don't know,
like she doesn't mean any harm and a lot of people don't, but it's kind of like some things are just unnecessary because yes, there needs to be more justice, but a lot of justice has been made in some ways, and you don't need to like
make people feel uncomfortable or like
they're just making it uncomfortable
because of how you're feeling within your own guilt of just like
basically she was doing it so she doesn't feel guilty.
Yeah, and that's something selfish on its own, right? Like you're overperforming because you want to feel like you're this good person, but it's like I don't know how to like counter that. I feel like sometimes yeah, you can like overdo it with wokeness and like I think also another thing that I realized from being like very active or very like
politically active,
yeah, or like just like opinionated, I learned like because I am passionate about these things, like I was also not you know, I don't want to, I hate the word also, like not hate it, but I also think it's sometimes a little like overly used, like self-care. I was like neglecting myself and I was like too focused on like the news constantly. And it was actually making me really sad.
Yeah, for sure.
I felt like depressed always like reading these headlines and like
it's just all bad news.
Yeah. And I was just like, you know what? Like, I need to take a step back and like actually take care of myself.
Yeah, for sure.
And like put myself first and like I can still care about these things and like still plan to be involved in these things that I want to be involved in or help people, but like I need to put myself first because I just felt like I was getting depressed. Like it was like every day.
It was even directly affecting you, but you were letting it affect you.
Yeah, things like that.
So you did some self-care. You went off social media.
I did, yeah. I did the social media thing where you get off and you.
Yeah, that is like definitely
like
self-care.
A cleanse.
Yeah. I think we should all do that once in a while.
And then I also stopped reading the news.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I stopped reading the news. Stopped watching the news. Not really. Okay. Yeah, I tried not to, but or I guess I should say like I don't read it as much as I used to before. And if I see something like tragic, like I'll read about it just to know about it, but I like, you know, I feel like I shouldn't like let myself drown in it or like
get not like seeking it out like every day, like oh I need to read like so
yeah, because like I'm a really emotional person, so like these things like actually I feel like they like affect me. Like when I watch someone like get punched in the boob or something, if you see that anywhere, you get someone hurt or pulled their hair, I feel that. And it makes me like have these weird like sensations in my body because I feel like I know what that feels like.
Yeah, I think
that's not that anyone's abused me or punched me in the boob, but I've been punched in the boob, but like accidentally, where you know.
Yeah, I think that's a normal human response. Like when we see someone, like even that's kind of embarrassing themselves, we feel embarrassed.
Yeah.
It's called mirroring. And
Yeah.
That's a normal thing.
You just
as
feel,
humans.
you feel like what that's like.
We're
and
like,
you're like, oh, if I was that.
We easily connect to each other.
Yeah.
Easier than we think, but it's a lot sometimes.
But like, let me go into another topic because we kind of
we
didn't really talk about what's keeping us up at night.
Yeah, well, remember I was telling you what was keeping me up.
Yeah, and it's kind of similar to what was keeping me up, except yours is Christian version, mine is
No,
Catholic.
I was saying how when I was living in Oregon, what was keeping me up was every single night I would think before I went to bed, like, should I move? Am I making the right decision? Every single night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why does this thought? It only came at night. Like all other hours of the day, I never thought of that. And I'm like, why is this happening right now? Like everything I think about before bed, I never think about any other time of the day. It's so weird.
Yeah, it is weird how that happens. I think because in the night, like you're supposed to be like closed off.
Closed off? Like
closed off in a sense where like, yeah, you're supposed to be in your home, in your bed. You're not supposed to be awake. Yeah. And yet you're still awake. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you don't have access to reaching out to people during the nighttime either. They're sleeping. It's just thoughts. You and your thoughts. And I think that makes, some of us feel anxious sometimes.
That's true.
And
maybe it's a bit of anxiety thoughts.
Yeah. A lot of like I've heard that having your phone with you in your bed like at night, it keeps you actually up longer because of like the blue light. So that stimulates like your brain into thinking that like it's light daytime, and so
even if you don't have your phone on, if it's just next to you.
No, like if you're on your phone or if you're watching TV too, like
that's true.
So I think like that can also in itself like give you anxiety because you're like, why am I not tired?
Mm-hmm. I think the blue light makes your nervous system like wake up or something like that.
Yeah, so it's just like all these like additive things that can keep you up, and then you already have anxiety in addition to that, and I mean I'm always awake too, and that's something I can't control. Like I just go to sleep late. But the things that have kept me up, like, as an adult are probably just anxieties, like, am I making the right decisions? Yeah, it
always has to do with the decision, I feel like, for me, too.
Yeah, like, am I following the path that I'm supposed to be, that I want to be doing? Like, also, I don't know, sometimes I'll say things, like, during the day to people and I'm just like thinking about it at night and I'm just like, I hope they didn't like take that as like something else, or like I like overthink shit like that sometimes where like I'm like, I hope I wasn't misunderstood, because I'm easily a misunderstood person. And so I like think about things like that. It's just stupid.
I feel like that kind of leads into the last topic I wrote down
about
like how the meaning of our lives have changed since like the meaning of life for our ancestors was like to survive, to find food.
Yeah, like how do we create things that matter to us?
Yeah. Nowadays, now that like survival's definitely not an issue.
Well, it's just like sometimes I think about like and this is kind of going back to like what I was trying to say in the last episode, and sometimes like my thought process just like gets the best of me and I just like say things that I don't know if I'm saying or articulating correctly. But what I was trying to say is that like if you take away like all these like material items that we have, they're actually not that important. Or like all these like like for an example, like if you take away social media, if you take away your car, if you take away like your phone, you're still existing and you're still living. If you take away this idea of what a government is like also a made up thing, if you take away the days, like we're still existing. And so it's like as simple as that. We're just like humans And we've just added all these like things that stress us out and don't really matter to our existence. And so that's what I was trying to kind of articulate. And I think I kind of said it. I just didn't say it like as maybe clear as this time. But that's what I was making.
I didn't get that the last round.
But it's just crazy because like our society, like we keep adding these things, and like social media is a new thing that we've just added into our lives that like supposedly matters, but it doesn't really. You know, it's like a made up thing too, just like a calendar.
It doesn't matter, but at the end of the day, if someone tells me they don't have Instagram, I'm like,
it's a red flag.
I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like,
yeah, it is a little strange because we've normalized it so much, but
like you can just have one. You don't have to pose. Just have it, just to show you're like not a murderer. So I don't know.
I like, yeah, I agree with that too, because there are some people I'm just like. It also depends on like the conversation of what like or how I'm reading this person. Because if it's a person that's literally seeing the world as just like how as I explained right now, like very simple, then I can understand why that person doesn't want to have Instagram. It's kind of weird if they did.
That's true.
Yeah, right. Versus like a person who's just like normal or not normal, but like very like I don't normalized. Yeah, I guess I would just use that.
Societal norms.
Yeah.
Like Instagram.
And they're just like,
posting
I don't.
The highlights of your life.
And they're just like, I don't have an Instagram, and I just go to church or something.
Yeah.
It's like,
I don't trust you.
I think you have a lot of things like emotional baggage.
Yeah, there's this girl that I was trying to talk to, like a year ago or whatever, and she told me she didn't have Instagram, and I was like, why not? Like that's weird. And she's like, oh, I just don't like people knowing like about my private life.
Yeah.
And like it's a huge distraction. And I'm like, oh, cool.
That makes sense though.
Totally respect that.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's fine. But at the same time, I was like, I don't really know much about you. Because you're already like a really private person, and like at least you can kind of learn something about someone on their Instagram.
Yeah, that's true.
So I was just like, I can't. There's like such a thing as being too private.
Yeah, I mean, from your perspective,
to me,
yeah, she's like, I don't want you. I mean, I didn't even finish reading this thing. I read like a headline of something, and it said like this yoga instructor was like arrested because they were actually this murder, and like they're like being really low key. Yeah, and that's like, you know, so I see what you're saying is like a red flag of like someone who doesn't have social media, like what, or someone who's too private. It's like, what are you hiding? Yeah. But there are people like that.
Yeah.
You know?
They're actually hiding things. And I don't think she was hiding something, but at the same time, I feel like you gotta, like, be a little bit more open, a little more vulnerable.
Yeah.
If you want to, like, make friends with people or something. Not saying, like, oh, in order to have friends, you have to have an Instagram, but if you're just too private, like, to me, that's kind of sketch.
Yeah, it makes you a little more, like, standoffish. Because I know when I didn't have an Instagram for, like, a year or so, yeah, a lot, and people would ask me like, "Oh, what's your Instagram?" And I would be like, "Oh, I don't have one." And then that was the end of like me and that encounter or something, you know.
Like, well, you're not a person that I care about, so
I'm not even gonna like try to keep up with you.
You're not gonna add to my followers, so goodbye.
Yeah, and then you like, do you ever meet those people who you can tell like they're just really heavily like involved in their Instagram or their social media?
Yeah, I've met a few people like that. I don't have too many friends like that, though.
Like that care too much.
Yeah.
I've just met people, and it's like, I just met you, and you want me to follow you, and you want to follow me. Like, it's, you don't even know me. Like, yeah. I could be like a serial killer or something. But it's to get like, you know, I guess those followers and stuff, and.
Yeah, maybe it's a form of validation for some people. Like, hey, let's add each other on Instagram. Let's be friends.
Yeah, I know. And I understand that too. Like, definitely it's just what it is now, so.
But originally, what were we saying?
We were talking about things that like
that have meaning nowadays.
Yeah, like how do we create things that matter to us?
I think nowadays the way most people create things that matter is through like accomplishing things, like especially material things, like hey, I got this new car, I got this job, like all about status and titles. That's how it is nowadays.
Yeah, that's true.
It makes us feel better, but I feel like that is true, but if you didn't have that status or have that title, I feel like the most important thing that matters to us is just pursuing whatever it is you want.
Yeah. Something I was like, I don't know what you just said right now. I wasn't paying attention. Okay, I'm just kidding. No, I was listening to you, but there was something that I was like, okay, there are some people who don't have a personality. They lack a personality, but they try to make up with it from it by like having these material items or like whatever they own or something. But now I also see that as sometimes like even like an influencer, right? Like sometimes they probably don't have a personality or like they're just taking, or what I mean is like they're kind of compensating for their personality by having such a lively Instagram or like these nice pictures. And I've met a lot of dull people like in my life where it's just like I'm very like uninterested in these people, so I don't want to even try to be friends with them. I'll be okay to be an acquaintance, but I noticed that there are a lot of people who will have like really good Instagrams and then their personality is actually just really boring.
I feel like that's if I met the Kardashians, I don't
that's
know why
them.
They popped up, because I remember watching the show and I'm like, there's nothing really interesting about them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they honestly seem kind of boring.
Like you can tell they lack a lot of passion. Like their passion is like stemmed from like money and like fame.
It's
and
like, what are your real passions? What do you really love?
Like what do you care about?
It's kind of like they care about whatever their audience cares about.
Well, they like their passion is just being like overly I don't know, like I don't know how to describe them. They're such a complex like family.
Yeah.
They
I feel like they're just fake. Like I don't really know what they're about.
And it is yeah, I guess that's why like something about, you know, I don't know if you've heard, but like Kim Kardashian is like becoming a lawyer or something like that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She's becoming a lawyer, and I think so far, I think she's like helped a few people that were in prison like be free.
Okay.
And
that's kind of cool.
It is cool, but it's also like it's hard to like really tell if this person, and obviously my opinion doesn't matter on, you know, she's going to do these things anyway, but I'm just saying like it's hard to trust that her intentions are genuine. Yeah. Because she's such a person of like, she's a public figure who's been idolized for being very self-absorbed. Right. And so it's really hard to be like, are these your genuine intentions, or is this like another publicity thing, or are you doing it just to like, I don't know, like what you're,
I mean, at the end of the day, at least she's doing it.
Yeah, and that's why like you can't like hate on it, but it's also like question it. Yeah, it also makes you feel like, I don't know how to explain that feeling.
Maybe she's come to like a certain point in her life and she's like, okay, I want to do something that actually matters.
Yeah.
Let's hope that's what's going on. But her dad was a lawyer.
Yeah. And so there's like the other thing is like, are you just trying to like fill in the shoes of your dad? Yeah. You know, he also freed OJ.
I heard like he was OJ's friend, but it wasn't like just him. It was like someone else that had like a heavy part in it. Like it wasn't completely their dad's decision on helping him.
Well, that was his lawyer.
That was his main lawyer?
That was yeah. Oh, okay. That's why they were like that's popular. True.
And they were like friends with him and stuff too. So.
Yeah, and that's why they were so rich, like even before they started.
Well then, I don't know.
I don't know.
What the heck her intentions are.
I don't know, and I honestly shouldn't care. It's like a waste of my time. But the point is like those are people that seem dull and not. Yeah, they seem like boring people.
Yeah. And they'll fill up their lives with things that like are meaningless.
And then the thing is that's very dangerous about them too, I guess, is like, and not even just them, it's like people like them, is that regular people mock them and want to be like them. And I think
a lot
that's
of people hate them too, though.
but there's a lot of people that really love them because how else are they still so
I
rich?
think my grandma really likes them. I think she's a fan. She knows everything going on with him. Probably knows about Kim being a lawyer and all that.
Yeah, you should talk to her about that.
I really know what's going on.
But like people like them are people in the world being influencers as well. And like painting this picture of like what you should look like and how you should act. I hear so many girls talk like how all of them talk.
Really?
You know how they talk?
They talk weird. They talk like they're robots.
They go like, yeah, I don't know.
Really
like
they just say, I don't know. Like literally, they kind of talk like me. I don't know.
They do talk very slow, and I talk slow already too.
So we're just like them.
Maybe. I've heard so many people talk like that though, and I'm like, why are you talking like that?
No, you know what this made me think of? Like, I'm pretty sure I don't trust people who are like influencers. If you have, like, a certain amount of followers, I'm like, okay, what's like really going on? Are you even a real person? Like, I feel like those people have the most shit going on in their lives.
Those people have, they have the most, also like, I want to say like interpersonal issues with themselves.
Right.
Because like, that's like their Instagram is like an escape in a way. It's like, oh, people get to see that this is how I am because this is how I want people to see me. And there's kind of a little bit of like, I'm just going to say it, narcissism.
Yeah, you're really into that term right now. What do you have against narcissists? What they do to you?
I might be a narcissist. I don't know.
Oh, that's what's going on.
Maybe that's what it is.
You're projecting.
Yeah.
Are you a narcissist?
I don't think I'm a narcissist.
I don't think.
I think a person that's a narcissist wouldn't even think that they're a narcissist.
Yeah, they would deny that shit.
They're so like in their own like web of lies that they're like, I don't have time to question that. That's not my shit.
What a narcissist would say if you called them one? You're gaslighting me.
Yeah.
They would throw all these like weird words at you.
That's projecting and gaslighting are like the top two terms that everyone learned this year. Yeah. And so it's like, are you gaslighting me?
I hate gaslighting.
You're just projecting.
Projecting's pretty annoying too, but like it works and it's true.
And it's a word.
Like psychologists use it in Psychology Today magazine. But yeah, I think projecting's an okay one. Gaslighting, I'm like, what is gaslighting? Like, I know what it is now, but it was so confusing because I never heard it for a long time. Yeah.
Well, when did you learn that term?
Like a year and a half ago.
Where? Do you remember?
Yeah, with my narcissistic ex-girlfriend.
What would she tell you? Like, what would happen?
I was gaslighting her because I would say like, "Oh, like you're crazy." Like, I don't know if I would say she's crazy, but I would basically say she was like blowing things out of proportion, and she's like making things worse than it needed to be. And she would say that I was gaslighting her. Yeah. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what am I doing to you? Google
search.
I was basically like saying that whatever she was telling me was not valid or not true or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're gaslighting her.
Yeah, I guess I was gaslighting her. I don't know. Was I?
I don't know what the context was, but yeah, it sounds like you were being the narcissist.
I was just being
okay. But going back to like the social media thing, when you care like so entirely of like what that looks like and how someone's perceiving you, that's not fair to like. Okay, so like I would say social media, you have this form of control of how someone gets to see you, right? Instead of seeing like the all around ways of what you really are and how you are. So it is a form of narcissism when you like desperately need to have that sense of control of like this image of how people need to perceive you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like I get it. Some people are like I relate to being misunderstood a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I sometimes will just be like, that's why I'm saying like I stay up sometimes because I'm like, why did I fucking say that? Like they probably think I'm like this bitch or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it, like wanting to have that sense of control, but there's also like trying to have a balance of just like being who you are
Yeah.
and like having the people. Not everyone's gonna like you.
No.
Not at all.
Everyone likes me though.
You know, I think you have a lot of narcissistic symptoms.
Symptoms. I'm like a fake narcissist.
You caught the case of the narcissist.
I'm totally kidding. Not everybody likes me, but most people do. But it's only because I like everybody. Mostly.
I don't think that's true, but yeah, I think in like your head you seem to think
sometimes I feel like I am like delusional about things. I'm like, this person loves me, and then they like actually
they're like, who?
Me. Yeah, they don't even know who I am.
Yeah. For me, I feel like I'm overly aware of like things and how I say things and do things.
Yeah.
So then I'm just like, they hate me because
you said that.
I said that, and they probably think I'm evil.
What are you saying? That's keeping you up at night.
I don't know. You know, another thing too is people have attention issues now, right? I don't know if you've noticed that. People have like attention issues, yeah, and so sometimes when you're talking to people, they're not entirely engaged with you. They're on their phone, yeah. Or they're just like they're just like in a rush or something, or like they, you know, so you don't get the chance to even like elaborate on like what you mean by some things or when you're saying things. Yeah. And I think that a lot of the times like that can happen to me where it's just like my timing is just really slow.
Yeah. But you know what I think? If there's someone that is misunderstanding you and not giving you a chance to like kind of explain.
Yeah, that's their problem.
That's on them, because this just happened to me yesterday at work. Me and one of the clients had like an inside joke. Mm-hmm. And then the other client was like, "What'd you say?" Like she didn't get it. She thought we were being inappropriate. Mm-hmm. And then the client was like, "Oh, she's mad at us." And I'm like, "Well, that's her problem." Because if she were to like mind her own business. And then the girl was gonna explain the joke, but she was like, "No, I'm just not gonna explain it," because she was already mad. So I'm like, okay, if you're gonna be like that person, then I don't care. Like, if you're getting mad, I don't. I think I need to care more.
Yeah, maybe you should care a little more. I don't care. That's a sign of a narcissist.
Maybe.
We've discovered you're a narcissist in one episode.
Or you should take a test.
Am I a narcissist?
Yeah. I think I'm confident.
Okay, you could have like narcissistic traits and not be a narcissist, you know?
That's true. I guess I have traits, but like
you're like one trait away.
I'm this close. No, I just think like I can't care about everyone's opinion if they're not going to be like a little more open-minded.
Yeah.
Take a freaking joke. Like, Jesus. At the end of the day, take a joke. Like, yeah. It's all good.
So what do you think about like some people canceling like comedians for saying things? Like, because that's kind of related.
Well, it depends. What are they saying?
What's the joke?
Are they being racist? Are they talking about Jews? Like, yeah, just cancel them.
Like, how? I mean, have you read about any of these like comedians getting canceled?
No, I don't read things like that.
Obviously, about like
who got canceled?
Well, there's been a lot of comedians that are canceled because they're like perverts and shit, right?
Oh, okay.
But that's excluded. There's just like, okay, for example, Dave Chappelle, they were trying to cancel him because of those trans remarks that he's made several times. I don't know if you've heard any of them.
Okay, so that's a good question. And the thing that sucks about how people are nowadays is everyone is sensitive to everything.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say the wrong pronoun.
Yeah.
You can't talk about trans. That's the big things right now is like the LGBTQ community. My people. They're very sensitive.
My people.
My people are very sensitive.
Okay.
More than ever. So you can get canceled like that. And I don't think it's cool because you need to take a joke.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it does depend on the, like, how extreme the joke is, or like what, I guess the context like matters in everything
like,
now.
Is it funny?
Yeah.
Then okay, like, it's a joke. But if it's not funny, if you're just saying shit to be rude,
Yeah,
and it's obvious that you don't like these people, then yeah, you can be canceled.
I honestly don't remember what his jokes were. It was in The Closer, which is one of his specials on Netflix.
Oh, okay. That's what it's called?
The Closer.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
And my opinion about it is I think, like, Dave Chappelle is a little too full of himself. As much as I love Dave Chappelle, like, or I used to really, like, appreciate his comedy and his, like, form of comedy,
he thinks he can say whatever he wants.
I think he thinks he can say whatever he wants because he's, like, already on this, like, legendary status of being a comedian, and he's so good at it that I think he thinks he's invincible. And
that's dangerous.
It is dangerous, and it also means that he's not gonna, he's become ignorant to the fact that he needs, like, some correcting, you know?
Yeah. He could be, I guess, a little more humble, like in his early days. Even, well, I guess he wasn't that
humble. He's just always been really good at comedy. He's, like, really crafty at his, like, job, and I can't even remember what his joke was about, like, the trans community, but in his last special, I did find it really, like, cheesy that he tells a story of how, like, he befriended this, like, trans person, and, like, it sounded like just like a cop out of being like, look, this one trans person liked me before she committed suicide.
Oh, what?
And, like, you know, I gave her these opportunities to be an opener for me or something like that.
Yeah.
And, like, that's what he was saying, and it just made it seem, like, very cheap. Like, just be accountable. If you said something that was fucked up and it wasn't funny, then just, like, you know, apologize for it. You know? So but I can't for the life of me remember what he said. I know he said multiple things about trans people.
Yeah, he didn't have to tell that story because it doesn't sound very funny.
Yeah. And that's the thing, my problem with him now is that a lot of, like, his specials aren't actually very funny.
It's just him, like, trying to make up for the
it's him trying to make these points so it can just validate what he's previously said, and it's not funny anymore. And I think that's where it's, like, dangerous because it's like, you're not even being a good comedian now.
At the end of the day, it's like, are you still being a good comedian? Yes or no?
Yeah, so
I really liked how you guys were talking about the whole, like, simulated things.
Yeah, Jesse's, like, really into simulations, and
so it scares me, honestly.
It is a little scary, but, like, if you if you paid attention to, like, how we were talking about things, like, we all do actually live in, like, simulations of our own reality, you know?
Like, we make up our own simulations?
Kind of. In a form. Like, we were mentioning about, like, how Christians, like, have their own, like, simulation of what reality is because of, based off of their beliefs and stuff. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, simulations are pretty scary. And it makes you also think, like, are there people out there that are just, like, here to be here? Like,
what'd you guys say? The NPCs?
NPC.
Yeah. Just, like, there to fill in
the gaps. To fill in the gaps. And, like, that also applies, like I was saying in the Truman Show, like, in that movie where, like, there's just, like, fillers.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there are people like that, maybe like those Dole influencers we were talking about, maybe they're NPCs. But the thing that, like, was cool about it, because I saw the documentary I told you, Into the Matrix or something. Oh no, A Glitch in the Matrix. And it's all about, like, the Matrix and, like, simulations. And, like, that documentary scared the shit out of me.
Why?
Because I was like, oh my gosh, gosh, like, am I real? Like, I don't believe in it. I don't. But like for a second, I was like questioning it, and I was like, is this all fake? Like, am I dreaming? And like, I don't know, it's just creepy.
I mean, it's crazy because like we still can't really define what our dreams mean. And I think that's pretty crazy in itself. Yeah.
That's true. You like look at I sometimes Google my dreams and there's like 5 different explanations and I'm like,
there should be like a website called Google My Dreams.
That's the thing.
.com. What does this mean?
Yeah.
I
don't remember my dreams though.
So in a simulation, well, have you ever seen Rick and Morty?
Some episodes.
Mm.
They have episodes about that?
About like simulations and stuff. It's like all the time. Yeah, they're always in simulations. Yeah. I don't know. Like, okay, you can go with that like theory and be really people are like heavily they really believe in that, you know, and they feel and it's kind of scary because sometimes yeah.
In that documentary, like they were having their faces blurred out because they don't want to show like their true identity.
Yeah, and okay, so do you know like Sandy Hook? It's like yeah. Did you hear about like that theory that it actually wasn't real?
Yeah, that conspiracy.
Yeah,
it was all fake, but I don't know why. Or like it didn't really happen.
Yeah, like it didn't really happen, and the people that the people were paid actors.
Oh, what the heck?
Which is like a crazy like thought to think because there were a lot of people that believed that. What? It takes like one powerful person to say things, and then all these people believe it. And so it's really dangerous because when you get too caught up in those type of like simulation theories or theories of just like, you know, things that didn't happen but really did, I think you can like lose yourself easily. It means that your mind is just like really vulnerable to like believing or not thinking for yourself. Yeah. And I think that's really dangerous.
That's how cults happen.
Yeah, and then you can say that those people that are followers are like NPCs in a way because they're just like useless people.
Yeah, they're just listening to whatever this authority figure is saying.
Yeah.
Because it makes them feel better. You ever think you were in like a cult?
Like in my past life?
No.
Oh.
Like in this life, like any form. I feel like when I was at CrossFit, I was like in a cult.
You know, when I experienced cult vibes, I worked at Enterprise and I felt like I just wasn't drinking enough of that Kool-Aid. But it felt very cult like. It felt very like frat boy, frat fraternity, like whatever. It's because of just like how they make they make their employees like
put a chip in their body.
Yeah, like it's like they brainwash everyone to believing that these things matter. When in reality, work is work. Fucking clock out and like that's it. Dude. It was like mandatory to go to happy hour after work. Like so I don't know how many times a month, but
how'd you get out of it?
I got laid off.
Oh yeah,
because of the pandemic.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Which was also the best thing for me because I was just like every day, like I want to quit, I want to quit, I want to quit. But you know, it was like such good money that it was just like, damn, can I like suck this up a little bit longer?
You're in a simulation cult for sure.
It felt very cult like.
Damn, if it's like hard for you to get out of it, I feel like that's like a cult.
Yeah. Why did you feel like you were in a cult?
Well, because everyone in CrossFit has like the same mindset, and we're doing things like sometimes we'd be doing really hard workouts, and I'm like, this is kind of crazy. Like we're doing like a hardcore PE class, and we're paying to do it.
Yeah,
that's crazy. But like, those are just the things I would think about. But obviously, like it's healthy, it's good for you. But I was trying to leave.
Yeah, but it also makes it like a little dangerous because like it makes you think like, well, I'm doing something good for myself, so I shouldn't leave. Like if I do decide to leave, then something's wrong with me, and you feel like kind of guilty about it.
Yeah, and that's what they think like in cults, even though it is healthy, like to join a gym, like that, and like make friends, especially at CrossFit gym. We all encourage each other, but the reason why it felt culty, which I don't want to say it was a cult, but it felt like it. Because I was trying to leave and they were like trying to do all these things to convince me not to.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, just let me go if I need to go. And like everyone there was like, what? You're leaving? Like it was like this whole thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's a cult.
Like similar to like Scientology, you know?
Oh yeah, you can't leave.
Those people can't even leave.
Yeah. For sure. They'll like get killed or so. I don't know.
Yes, shit happens to them. And Tom Cruise is like their golden child.
Mm-hmm.
But
I would join a CrossFit gym.
I think that's also I've just never like been so dedicated to like a group before, because I think if I was really heavily like involved in my yoga class, I think I could probably be in a cult with them, and there's some weird people, you know.
Yeah.
Especially just
that's
like
their life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And there's something really weird about like, I don't want to shit on like white people for doing this, but like they like sometimes are like too yoga and then they make it a cult.
What do they do?
I can't explain that shit. I can't. I need like another episode to like think about it. But yeah, like white people just really know how to like, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I was watching this documentary. I'm always watching a freaking documentary about the volcano that happened in New Zealand.
No, I didn't know about that.
It's on Netflix. It's really good. It's really sad. But me and one of the clients at my job, she's not white. We were watching it, and she's like, see, this is the shit that white people do. Like, they go touring this island that has an active volcano.
Yeah, all dangerous.
And I was like, sitting there, I'm like, honestly, I would go do that shit.
You would go do that shit, but yeah, like, no one wants to walk through Skid Row.
Yeah, no one wants to do that.
No one even wants to drive through Skid Row.
You can't go and take pictures like, hey, look where I'm at.
I mean, like...
For Instagram, hello.
Yeah, I guess that's important.
It was a really good documentary, but the client saying that made me think like crazy shit.
They
like,
do.
I don't actually know if I would have done it because it's a 90-minute boat ride to the island. That's already a red flag. That's a long way there.
90-minute boat ride.
Yes, and if the volcano erupts,
how are you supposed to get out?
You're screwed. And it said the last eruption was 3 years before. It happened every 3 years, and it literally was the 3rd year.
What a crazy bitch.
Yes. So there was 40 people that went on this tour, and one of the ladies who survived, she was like, because half the people died. She was saying, she's like, I had a bad feeling about it. I knew this was the 3rd year.
God
and
damn.
I'm like, it sucks because she knew. Yeah.
Like, why would you go then?
Because it sounded fun. Like, it just sounded cool. Like, a lot of people did it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Cults are pretty crazy. I mean, you think about like the Nazis and stuff. Like,
I don't think about them that often.
That was like a big cult.
Honestly, dude, I think the most terrifying thing because I'm not scared of a lot of things, but cults are probably the scariest thing.
Cults are scary. And okay, so going back to like my enterprise experience, like there were some cool people that I met. Like there was a lot of like, you know, people my age, like my coworkers were cool. But like everyone was just drinking this enterprise Kool-Aid. Like to try to be like top seller, to try to be the top of like, they had like this graph of people of how they salespeople are like how they tracked people. Yeah, salespeople just in general are very cult like. And some days when I was like feeling low just on myself, I was like, man, like why can't I just be like them? Like why? Like, why am I fighting this? But it's because it's not me.
Yeah.
And so there were some days where I was just like, I really should try, like, to sell insurance.
To drink the Kool-Aid. You didn't try to sell insurance?
I wouldn't say I tried as much as some of my coworkers did. I would say when I did try, I tried sometimes, but there's just so much of me that's like too honest that like I couldn't do it.
You didn't want to screw people over.
Yeah.
And that's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because they might feel guilty from that today, but probably not.
Yeah, most salespeople don't. They see them as just like, I don't know, like weaklings, and like in our heads we're supposed to see ourselves as like sharks and like just like attack these people.
I didn't know Enterprise was like that.
Yeah, and I could have like some stories about it because it's like it was an interesting experience to be like to meet like even corporate people. We would have meetings with corporate people at Enterprise. Like they have like this building in downtown LA, and I remember one of the people there, he was like giving us a lecture of like how to sell things. And I remember one time he used the term rape. He said like raping customers or something like that.
What the heck?
And essentially what he meant is selling them all the things that we can sell, and that's a rape. And it's just like, you know how ugly that sounds? And there was so many like it's crazy because I had that meeting. It was a bunch of us, like newer people. We had that meeting with that one of those managers or corporate people, and it happened so soon that like not too long after I just like got laid off. So I didn't even get a chance to like mention something. And also a part of me was like a little bit hesitant to say anything because I didn't know how it was going to escalate. But like I wanted to be like, dude, you can't be saying shit like that. Just because there's a lot of guys that work here doesn't mean you can have that like frat mentality to use terms like that. Yeah, so don't get the insurance unless you're going on like a road trip. Then you should get it. Yeah. But we should end it here because we only have a few seconds left, and we'll come back with more hot topics.
Hot topic.
I used to like that story. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.